G'day, it's Bruce from the Joinery Coach, and I've got a little bit of a exercise, a little bit of an experiment that I'm doing today. I am working on new ways to help the people that we work with understand change and how to navigate through change. Change management and making change in your life and in your business is one of those magical, mystical things, not only in business but also in life. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to help people work out what the steps are to take to make real, significant and positive change, not only in your life, but we work in, focused on helping your business. So our goal is to help you make some real significant changes, permanent changes, positive changes in your business. And look, here's the reality of all of this. The know-how to make the changes isn't hard to find. You can download it, you can order it, you can buy a book, you can watch a YouTube, there's all kinds of ways to get the how. The how isn't really the hard part. Nobody lacks a strategy, nobody lacks a plan. What people lack, primarily speaking, is the commitment. So strategy is not the problem, it's commitment is the problem. And commitment, it's easy to say, well, you just do it. I mean, there's a great Bob Newhart clip on YouTube. You can search it up, and he just says, "Well, just stop it." The lady says, "I'm afraid of getting in a box," and he says, "Well, just stop it." And if only it was that easy. We know it's not, right? If being fit was easy, everybody would be fit. Nobody would eat junk food. Everybody in the face of the planet wouldn't be obese. Nobody would be overweight, right? So we know it's not that easy just to tell humans to just do it. We've got to figure out how do we create the motivations for humans to do it. And, there's a number of ways around this. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to ask for your patience because I'm working through a new, let's call this a presentation, a new way of showing this. And I'd love to get your feedback. So if you are watching this and you're watching it on YouTube or any other element, whether it's live or whether it's a replay, I'd love to get some comments on whether this helps you, whether it helps you understand things, or whether you'd like some more explanation of things. So let's jump into it, shall we? All right, so I'm going to do some drawing on my iPad. And I hope that this works for you. Let me just move a few things around here. Apologize. Bear with me for 1 sec. That's a little bit better. Okay, so here's the harsh reality of everything. People think in big goals. Like we think, okay, we are here right now. Let me see if I can draw this relatively well. I'm going to try and use colors here today because colors tend to make this look a little bit better. We think about, this is where we are right now. And if you've spent any time looking at change and change management, you'll notice that whenever we want to get to where we want to go, we never go straight up. There's always this sort of period of time where we've got to learn new things, do new things, create new habits. So the reality is that, there's usually a bit of a flat line here, and then we hit this curve and it goes up to a certain point. So that's the curve, that's the momentum curve that we want to be on. To get to, let's just draw this as a target, whatever this thing here is that you're trying to achieve. Think about this like a target. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the actual term. So if we think about this like a target, if you're aiming at something, there's your target. It's far off in the distance and it's hard to reach. So your target, whatever it is, in life or in business, is this far off thing off in the distance. We don't know what it is. You can decide. But we want to get there, and we are right here, right now. Okay. Hopefully you're with me so far. So what we know is that when people start out at this point, there's often, you're stuck, right? You're often very stuck at this point. So this point right here, let me just draw a little bit of a chart here. I am making this up as I go along, so hopefully this will work out for you. So this point right here, at this starting point right here, This tends to be where you're feeling, let's say, pain and maybe a little bit of, might be despair. That might be your feelings at this point right here, because you might be feeling like, that big target is always out of reach. There's no way to get it. It's like it's too big. There's no way I can possibly do that. You might be thinking all those sorts of things. So that tends to bring feelings of pain and despair. And so you'll move forward to a certain point. And in this point right here, the feelings that you'll have, or the habits that you have, there will be some fear. So you'll feel fear when you're in this situation. You'll fear that, if I keep going like this, there's going to be no great future for me. But also what happens, a lot of times you'll notice that you're looking back. You're looking back a lot. You're going, what happened in the past? That person said this. You might also find that in this mindset or in these conversations when you're in this mode, there's a lot of blame going on. And you might also find that you or people in this mode, if you're observing them, there's a lot of excuses. Oh yeah, we did that because that won't happen because I tried that, it won't work. There's nothing that can we'll never get there. There's all this blame and excuses, and in this first stage, and that's where a lot of people stop. They never get past this point. By the way, this does have, if I can draw a straight line here, this does have, if you notice, a slight increment up. So sometimes you'll take steps forward and then take steps backwards, take steps forward and take steps backwards. Having worked as a business coach for close to 20 odd years, fortunately, we're quite successful. So a lot of our clients, the vast majority of our clients, do see forward momentum. But occasionally we see someone that we have a bit of an affectionate name for people like this, and I'm one of them in certain situations. We call them repeat offenders. People that get to a point where they just stop and they go back, and it's just like this repeated cycle. All right, so that's sort of the first stage of change. So we've got to recognize these things. And let me be super clear. The reason that I'm talking about this is so that you can analyze this in your own life and in your own journey towards whatever you want to achieve and recognize what the next step is. Okay, so the next step that we need to get people through is getting you into feeling like you're dissatisfied. Hopefully you can read that. That says dissatisfaction. We know that when you hit a point where you go, okay, enough's enough. Something has to change. I've been doing this long enough this way. I'm not doing it like this anymore. Not until you're highly dissatisfied will any change ever be made. You have to be highly dissatisfied with where you're right now. Your comfort zone can't be comfortable anymore. You've got to feel highly dissatisfied. So once you feel highly dissatisfied, and you will feel highly dissatisfied if you spend a little bit of time looking forward and you can see a clear vision. You can see clearly what another business or another person like you is doing that's much better than what you're doing. And it's one of the reasons why we display a lot of the work we do with clients. It's so that we can make people that are stuck and feeling really in pain and maybe a little bit of desperate feel like they can actually take some steps forward. We can make them feel highly dissatisfied with the current situation. Status quo can change. So dissatisfaction is the next mode. And let me just see if I can draw a straight line here. So highly dissatisfaction will look like this. And it'll get you to a certain point in here. So once you're feeling dissatisfied, what you'll start doing is you'll start looking forward. Right? So instead of looking back all the time and say, oh, we tried that in the past, it didn't work. This person said bad things about me. Instead of just looking forward at the things that you're going to do or the things that you need to do, this is what you're doing now. You'll also find that in your mind, you're taking responsibility. So you own the situation, you can change it. You're not blaming somebody else or just passing this off and being a victim. You're now taking responsibility. You're in charge. You take responsibility, which means that you took responsibility for what happened in the past. You're also going to take responsibility for what's going to happen in the future. And that will then take you to a point where you look for solutions. All right, so moving into this mode here, this mode of being dissatisfied is very, very helpful, because as soon as you start looking for solutions, I often ask people, what are you looking for? Are you looking for problems? Because a lot of people will say, yeah, we tried that, that won't work. The problem with that is, we'll give a solution, and they will say the problem with that is. And that indicates they're actually looking for the problems, because they've actually just said, when a new solution is presented to them, the problem with that is. So you know in their mind, in their mindset, they're actually looking for the problems. But once you move into dissatisfaction mode, you're not going to be looking for the problems anymore. You're not going to be looking for the solutions to the problems, because you're dissatisfied with the current state. So looking for solutions is very different than seeing the problem. When you're in pain and despair, in that first stage, you're actually just seeing the problem. And you're never looking for the solution to the problem. Okay, so that's the next stage we need to get you through. After that, we need to get you motivated. Because once we start taking some steps forward, we start doing some things, you know, getting some action, some real change is happening. Now all of a sudden, motivation, that says motivation. Sorry about my bad handwriting, but motivation means we're now actually taking small steps forward. We're motivated to do the next thing, right? So motivation simply means we're now focused on the small steps. Small steps. If any of you have ever played any sports or done anything in the way of improving your technique, when we improve your technique, we're not talking about winning the race. We know that that's the point of improving your technique. We know that. That's why we're doing this. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, if you're a runner, we're just going to slightly change how much you swing your hand. We're just going to slightly change how high your feet come up. We're going to make little small changes. So we're looking for the small goal. So all of a sudden, what you'll start seeing is, if we're talking about motivation, all of a sudden, this, let me just get a different color here. This big goal up here starts to become a little bit fuzzy. We're not so focused on the big goal anymore. We know that it's there, but it's not our focus. Our focus is now shifted to the small changes. And when we're motivated, we focus on the first small step, then the next small step, and we start seeing, that says seeing the gains. So in business, if you're running a joinery business, we might say, oh my God, mistakes and defects are going out the door all the time. People are always making mistakes. We just can't seem to make any forward progress. So once we start putting defect rates in place and actually measuring how often are we making mistakes, and we say, okay, well, every month on average we make, we have 23 reported defects that are happening. Great. So now we see the thing, and we put some action in place, and we start decreasing from 32, whatever your defect rate is, down less. We see a small step, and we start seeing the small gains. That creates motivation to do more of that. And it also creates a very positive, let me get this right, mindset. Because once you have a positive mindset, you're going to be looking forward all the time. You're going to say, great, let's keep doing more of that and more of that and more of that. So this is really important. So this is this next mindset. And you'll notice that if we call this, you're in stage 1, you're in stage 2, and this is stage 3. If this is stage 4, you notice the difference between stage 3 and stage 4. So once we start getting motivation and we start getting the next step of this, which is momentum, you'll notice that the improvements and the gain gets to be quite extreme. So once we're motivated and we got momentum happening, you can start seeing the very quick spike up in your progress. This is how we can make sure that your change happens and it sticks. So momentum means that you've actually strung together many small little goals. So these are going to be little things like, okay, you work through the fear, you work through the pain and the despair, because at some point you became highly dissatisfied and you said, great, we're going to work through this. And you've actually strung together a whole series of amazing results and amazing things that have you looking, if you look back, you say, holy crap, like I'm now here and I was here. And that's a big change. Like, how did I get here? You'll often hear yourself saying that when you get into this, very close to where you want to be. Often it creeps up on you. You go, I don't know how I got here so quickly. Like, this is amazing. Because you'll start to realize that you've actually strung together a whole series of small steps. And you'll start to have clarity of the path. Because you'll start seeing, if you pay attention to what you've just done, you're now seeing this pathway that you've created is a pathway lined with small little steps, small little incremental steps. There's never this big, huge bridge that you jump from here to here. It's just your path looking back is lined with a whole series of small little steps. So then when you turn around and look forward, what you're actually seeing now when you look forward, again, same thing, a whole series of small little steps. So you start to have clarity on what the path looks like, not from where you were only, but also to where you're going to go. That path forward now, you're super clear that there is a whole series of small little steps that I'm going to keep doing. And they are small little steps. They're not huge, big, hot, hairy, audacious things that you can't do, in small things, but clarity is really important. And now once you get into the momentum, you'll feel these habits that you're doing are now permanent. They've stuck. You'll have this feeling where you go, my goodness, I've made these changes every day for the last 4 months. I've been doing it every day. But for the last 6 years, I haven't been able to get any action on this. But in the last 4 months, I've done this every day for 4 months. You'll start to feel these habits now are permanent. And that's how you'll know that you're in that momentum mode. And what will happen from that, this is really important, you will feel relief. And I'm just going to highlight that one because that is probably the milestone. That is, once you hit to this, once you tend to get to this point right here where you actually exhale, you'll feel the relief because you're a long way away from that pain and despair that you were in before. You'll probably look back and go, you know what? When I was running my cabinet business or my joinery business 6 months ago or 12 months ago or whatever it was, I felt every day like it was Groundhog Day and pain every day. I felt just really bad going to work every day. I don't feel like that anymore. And so you will hit this point of relief and you'll physically be aware of yourself exhaling. So then we get clarity. You'll move into a mode that we call clarity mode. And that then puts you into this point right about here. And clarity is a wonderful place to be in because clarity gives you a new outlook for future. Let's call this a new future outlook. You often hear people who were addicts when you talk to them when they're in their worst, in their worst pain and the despair, and when they're at their worst, they don't have any future. They don't feel like there's any future. They talk about, this is the worst, But once you get out of that, once you get into recovery, and once you get into in a good place, you'll hear them talking about, I can now see my future. So once you get into this level of momentum and changes are being made, you start seeing a new future for yourself. You actually feel the future happening. And you'll also, You'll also feel that forward movement. You know, it'll be a feeling you have. You'll feel it. Momentum. Momentum is hard to feel when it's slow, but as you get up into this section here, the little things start to spread out a little bit, because a lot of the little things are done in the early days. And this stage right here, it's almost like when you're racing a car to get up to speed. You know, you're going slow to begin with, but then once you get up to speed and you pay attention to what's going on, you actually are aware of how fast you're going. So that's what happens when you get into this stage right here, where you have clarity. You'll feel that forward momentum. And something that is very significant once you get into this mode right here. What will happen is you're now not looking or not seeing. Actually, I'm going to use the term looking because that's more relevant. You're not looking for the big goal. Right? So now, whatever this big thing was that you wanted to achieve 10 months ago, 12 months, 2 years ago, whatever this period of time is that we're talking about, that we've helped you move through this change curve, and now you'll be aware that you're going, oh, I'm not actually thinking about this big new utopia space that all of a sudden I'm going to find myself in. You are just very conscious of the fact that you're taking small steps every day. It's just the little small things that are moving you forward, and that now becomes your permanent mindset. This is the big one. This is the big thing that people get into, is now you realize my focus is not the big goal. The focus is not the big goal at all. My focus is to create permanent change. So once you get that stuck and you're really aware of it, the ultimate goal is not the big thing. The ultimate goal is to create a permanent, changing way of doing things. So once you hit this level, what you'll start thinking is, oh, I'm thinking differently now. I've got a new way of looking at things. I'm not looking for a big target anymore. I'm not looking for the big goal. I think about people that want to lose weight. Once you've kind of done a pretty good job of that, you're now not saying, I want to be X kilos or whatever it is. You're saying, I just want to maintain. I want to keep a little bit of momentum going. But you're not looking at the big thing in the end. You're actually just very aware of the small steps you need to take every day. So you have a new way of thinking, a new way of acting. You're not looking for big targets, and you're really only looking to get a little bit better every day. You're only looking for small incremental steps. So once you get into this stage, you realize you've got a new mindset. That's really important, because you'll be conscious of the fact that you think differently now. You'll be conscious of the fact that it's now small steps. Small steps are the goal. The goal is not this anymore, right? The goal is to keep taking small steps and to make sure that those small steps are there. And you'll also be aware that you can go backwards is okay, because you know that even if you take a little step backwards here, you're not going to let it slip, and you're going to go back up to here. So this way of thinking, this new way of looking at things is so important. There are movements and changes that obviously threaten for this to happen, but one of the things that we do exceptionally well for people that allow us to work with them in a real way, we move you through these stages of pain and despair up into, and I've seen it happen in workshops that we do. I've seen it happen where people are going, I'm in a room full of other people that are already at momentum, clarity, and change stage, and those people are going, well, this, where I'm at right now, feels horrible. Feels way worse than it did before. You know, sometimes you can be in pain and not do anything about it for a long period of time, until you just get into a situation where you can see what the next step looks like. And now you're really dissatisfied with where you are right now. That's so critical, and it's the main reason why we create a community that we work with, because those community of people that are doing really, really well are going to motivate the people that aren't. And so motivation is so important. Moving up from really dissatisfied, now you're motivated. Now you're motivated to hit the the ground running. So motivation creates momentum. Momentum creates clarity of what you need to keep doing. Now it's super clear. Whereas before you might have said, look, I know I want to get there, but I don't know how. Now you have clarity on not only how to get there, but you've already gone a long way. And then that change will become permanent and you won't move backwards. All right, so that is a little bit of a new presentation or a new way of thinking about change management. We work with cabinet makers and joinery businesses who make cabinets and joinery. This whole thing that I'm talking to you about is really, it's a way that we can maybe get the industry, people in the industry, to realize that you can move forward, you can take steps forward, and there is always the next step and the next step and the next step. There's no point in going backwards. When I talk about people that are what we call repeat offenders, I'm not saying that they're bad people, and I'm not saying that it's even their fault, but what happens sometimes is without proper accountability, someone might get to a stage like right about here and then give up without proper accountability. And then what happens is you just go all the way back to here again, and you've got to start this whole journey all over again. And we see it too often. And what we really work hard on doing is making sure people, when it gets tough, like motivation is tough, like it doesn't come naturally. And to keep moving through these small steps sometimes takes a little bit of push. Sometimes it takes a little bit of, as a coach, there's a reason why we have become coaches rather than consultants. Consultants take no responsibility. They just say, here's the report, here's what you need to do, pay me my money and I'll give you my report and I'll be on my way. Consultants don't take any responsibility for helping you do the thing. And that's what we call a done at you, or a done for you. Here it's done for you, now you have to go and do it. We're not trainers or teachers who are done at you. Both of those approaches will not help change stick. We do the change that you need to do in your business with you. And that's a little different for a lot of people, because a lot of people have never worked with a business coach before. Not a proper business coach. Some business coaches are actually trainers or consultants. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But good coaching will be just that. It'll be the coach. And if any of you have ever had a sporting coach like I have, sometimes a coach will yell and scream, but their purpose is to motivate you to keep moving forward. If you've ever had a trainer at the gym, you've got to do 50 sit-ups, and he's asking you to do another 50 sit-ups, and it hurts, and you're going, I don't want to. And they're going, I know you don't want to, but I'm here to keep you doing and get you to do it. So do another 50 sit-ups. That's the whole purpose of our existence. We coach you to keep moving forward through each one of those changes, so you get to the point where you have motivation, you have clarity, and the change that you're trying to create in your life and your business is actually stuck permanently. All right, hopefully that's helpful. Again, love to hear your comments. This is a new way of looking at things with new stages, but those are the changes that we see moving through getting you to make something permanent and sustainable. So let me know. What do you think? Comments in the box, in the comments section, wherever it appears, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Bruce from the Joinery Coach. And by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, we'd love you to like our YouTube channel and subscribe. It'd be really awesome if we can double or triple our subscribers. That would be great. And show the love. This is free content. All you got to do is hit subscribe, and we'd be really grateful. And if you're watching this on Facebook or any other social media platform, jump over to our YouTube channel and like and subscribe to our channel. If you want to learn a little bit more about what we do, jump onto the joinerycoach.com website. And if you'd like to have a chat with me directly, book a call. Just go to the contact page and book a call with me. I'm more than happy to have a chat. Okay, have an awesome day. We'll see you soon. Cheers.